Welcome to World Insight with me, Tian on CGTN. Governance makes a difference. We've been focusing our attention on that subject for some time, and today let's continue to meet some people in the know in that regard. Czech Republic, like many of its peers in the former Soviet bloc, has gone through dramatic changes since its so-called Velvet Revolution. Now the country's economy is taking off, but it is not without challenges. So what does it mean for governance? On that, I talked to the former Prime Minister of the country, Jiri Paroubek. He said it's a mixture of lessons and experiences. Mr. Paroubek, when we think about your country, people have witnessed the great change when it comes to economic power since the end of the Cold War. But at the same time, people are also asking as to where the country is heading for in terms of providing some kinds of reference about governance, some kinds of reference about the development trend of the economy, some kinds of reference about how Central and Eastern European countries and economies would function for the near future. What do you think?
At the beginning of 90s, very low transition exchange rate of Czech crown to convertible currencies in the world, to dollar, to German mark. We made also other mistakes in the last weeks. For example, Czech National Bank kept for 4 years practically from the beginning of this in November 1913 the artificial transition exchange rate of Czech currency, Czech crown to euro on the level €1 to 27 crowns. And it was a great mistake because real value of Czech currency at this moment is between 18 to 20 crowns per €1. And of course, if you have if you have so cheap currency, you must buying the modern technologies for more expensive prices. It was a great mistake. But I think that generally the development of Czech economy was not bad, but it could be better.
In 2018,
yes.
Mr. Prime Minister, you run your campaign as the president. Of course, you failed eventually. But why did you have the political courage and guts to want to come back again?
I'm not sure that I will come again, but because it is difficult, and I have a certain age, and but I have no healthy problems, and I am in good condition. But it is not only the thing that I wanted, but it must be a society need, one thing, and you must have certain support not only of the people, but also of the people who have money, because for politics you need in so-called democracy money.
What do you make of that reality, the so-called necessities you just mentioned?
I think at this moment it is not necessary to hurry with my comeback to politics, and because we have a president, and after his mandate is finishing after 3 years, and we will see after 1-2 years. It is enough time for decision.
This year marks the 30 years anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall. It was such a big event then. After 30 years, Mr. Prime Minister, what do you make of the time that your country has been experiencing since then. What is the biggest takeaway for you, do you think?
The change of the regime 30 years ago, it was a great opportunity for many people, and at this moment is a majority of Czech society satisfied with the development in last 30 years. Maybe 2/3 of the society are satisfied, and it is important figure. For me personally, it was a great change, and it was open space for my career, for my personal development, and it was important time.
Mr. Prime Minister, since we're here talking about governance, what do you consider as the biggest challenge for governance today?
I think for my country, of course, if the main challenge is to keep good economic development, and because if you have good development of the economy, of GDP, of the income of national budget, you can increase social programs, you can give more money to education, to the science and research and so on, and you can develop society. Without good functioning economy, it is impossible to do it.
What about for the world, do you think?
Maybe not same, but similar, because in the world it's necessary to keep certain reasonable development of the economy, and one way is to stop the trade wars between the states, because it is not good way for developing economy. It is obstacle.
Since you talk about the trade war, China-US trade war now, some say it's trade, others say it's much beyond trade. There's likely to be a period of time in which both economies are going to compete against one another, more competition rather than cooperation. There's also the danger of so-called decoupling. There's pressure on the others whether to stand in one line or the others. At least some believe so. So, Mr. Prime Minister, what does that mean to you and your country?
Czech Republic is dependent, similar as Germany, on export, and 90% of our export is going to the states of European Union, and it is we need more diversify our export. And of course, if the countries which importing our goods will have certain problems, economic problems, and it is experience of former Czechoslovak Republic from the 30s, that it was also export economy, and when started crisis, it was a great obstacle for the Czechoslovak economy, and it destroyed not only economy but also political system in our country and in Central Europe, in Europe generally.
Now, Czech Republic is one of those economies enthusiastic about Belt and Road Initiative. What is there for Czech Republic?
Of course, just in Czech national interest is to cooperate with practically a whole spectrum of countries of the world, and also with China, because it is at this moment the second strongest economy in the world, and perspectively it is the strongest economy in the world. But frankly speaking, Chinese investments in the country are not so high at this moment.
Why not?
I think that there are certain specific reasons that the country was not open for great Chinese investors. The investor who came from China as a main investor for the future, it was the company CFC, was not a good choice, and I think that it was also not good choice the people who were from the Czech side cooperating with this company. But I think that the situation changed in last months because as a substitute of this company, CFC, came a very experienced investor, Chinese investor, Citibank, and we will see in a few years if the changes will come or not. But I hope that the value of Chinese investments will increase.
You've been seeing, Mr. Prime Minister, China being regarded in the world from a wow factor to become a fear factor. And it's just within a few years' time. What do you make of this? I mean, how would you reconcile the two extremes?
I'm visiting China very often this year, and it is a really incredible impression for me, and I think that it could be very useful if many Czech politicians and Czech investors and entrepreneurs could opportunity to visit China and to see not only the economic results of Chinese economy, but also Chinese culture, because I think that it is necessary to understand this very interesting society and very strong society, stable society, and if you could understand this society, you can better cooperate.
You know, the way to operate, of course, implement the Belt and Road Initiative is not without challenges, because some of the countries are going through some transitions of their own, and therefore how to make sure it would happen and happen efficiently is a big question mark. And secondly, there are different views about the Belt and Road Initiative, whether China is only being selfish, quote unquote, to look at its own economy, export, oversupplies or not having others in mind during this process. What do you think, Mr. Prime Minister? Is this going to be a win-win?
Of course, nothing is going without difficulties, and everything needs certain time. I remember when I was here in China 2 years ago, and I saw in your TV the visit of Chinese president in Chile. 10 years ago, China and Chile contrasigned the agreement about strategic cooperation, and after 10 years was to see the results, a great increase, great jump of the exchange of goods, and practically trade balance without surpluses on both sides. And I think it is the way to be patient and to be concentrate for the things who are interesting. Second side, I remember that from Chile, China importing the cherries for $600 million per year. It is a huge amount, and of course it would be impossible without this strategic agreement.
Chile was supposed to be the host for the APEC this time, and it canceled it because of the street demonstrations and the chaos in the country.
Yeah, of course, but this agreement is going. This trade is going. It is normal, and this you have here this goods, and China needs copper. China needs fishes. China needs also cherries, for example, from Chile, and And it is the result of the strategic agreement between these two states.
So you're saying policies actually should be sustainable. It should be beyond administrations. Is that what you're trying to say?
I think that China is finding new possibilities of the development of her economy, of its economy, and this project Belt and Road is such a way which could serve to it.
Mr. Prime Minister, what a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for your insights.
Thank you.
Thank you.